Hey guys, Cobb here. So before we do runes, which I said we were going to do next video, there's a lot of things that need a little bit of polishing up. So we're just going to make a short video and get all those things out of the way to make things easier in the future. And basically, our stamina right now has kind of gotten messed up over the, for one, you don't use stamina up when you glide, which you're supposed to. Oh my goodness, there we go. And sometimes it can kind of glitch around. You start not being able to lose stamina. So we're just gonna fix it all up. We're gonna clean it up. So let's go into mechanics, and we are gonna create a enumeration. And this is gonna be called movement modes. Oh, I know there's already one called movement modes. So we're just gonna call it link movement modes, so we don't get confused. Open that up. Okay, so we need to make 4 of them. The first one is going to be called walking, and this is our normal kind of jog state. Normal state, not using stamina. And we have one that's exhausted, and this is when we completely use up our stamina bar and we start moving a lot slower. So slow movement, stamina gaining. Cannot sprint. Okay, we have sprinting, and you know, it's just using stamina. And then we have gliding, which is using stamina, which is great, and that's all we need for the enumeration. Let's close that. Alright, we're gonna go into the third person character now. So we need to create a couple more functions. And these are just gonna set everything in their place, basically, to make sure, because right now everything, how we have it written, is all kind of spread out, like, oh, you shouldn't be sprinting here, you should here, this is when you're using stamina, and you know, they kind of collide with each other sometimes and makes a mess, so we're just polishing that up. So we're going to create a new function. This is going to be called enum walking. Let's make a category called enum functions. Okay. So before we get into making this, we're going to go back to the event graph. Here, let me close all of these. Okay. And we need to make a new variable. I didn't think we were going to need at first, but now I realize we do. It's pretty simple. It's just going to be called is sprinting. It's going to become it's a boolean. Put that in the sprint category. So we just have to have, and then we have a really easy, you know, is sprinting or is not sprinting. So we want to go into the sprint function. It's going to check all these things to make sure we can sprint. And pretty much after this node, all of this is going to change. It's going to be a lot simpler. So we're just going to bring that to the side. And for now, just say set sprint, is sprinting to true. Okay. Go back to the event graph, and you know, when you release, right before the stamina regeneration, we want to add in a is sprinting. That is going to be false. That's all we have to do right there for now. We're going to head over to the jump, and we are going to fix up the jumping, because we want stamina to not be depleting when you've jumped and then start again when you've landed. So let's bring this down. And before anything, I'm going to bring this over here a bit. We, a couple of you pointed out that you can actually fly infinitely in this game if you keep hitting space. You just keep going up, which is something I didn't notice. It's a really simple fix. We just go here, character movement is falling right before we glide. We just have to ask another if statement. And then we just have to ask if they're gliding. Because if you are gliding, then you don't want to be able to do this again. So paragliding is gliding. And I'm just going to put a not, make it a little clear. So it is not gliding, true, then you can glide. And if it's false, we actually want to stop gliding, so that when you hit spacebar again in midair, then you start falling again, because I know in the game you want to be able to cycle. So if I hit it again, now I can fall. Yeah, and that's how we want it. Gives you more control. So luckily that's a super easy fix. Sorry, I should have noticed it in the first gliding video, but it's good that we have it now. So let's get to the actual jumping and stamina issue. Now we want, when you're sprinting and you jump, let me show you, we want it to stop when you're in the air, which it's not doing currently. And when you're not sprinting, I don't know why I closed it, press play again. When you're not sprinting and you jump, well, let's see, it's got to regenerate. We want it to stop regenerating. Now that's optional. I actually can't remember if that's how it is in the game, if it stops regenerating when you jump, but you don't have to add it in. It's really simple. You could just do the first part. You'll see. So after jump, you just have to ask, are they sprinting? Is sprinting. Okay, and if that's true, we just want to pause timer by function name. Self, of course. Ooh. That's not how you spell self. I'm 60% sure. Function name, stamina, regeneration. I love being able to spell. You can just copy and paste, and you don't have to do this part if you don't want the stamina to stop. So I'm adding this part in right here to stop the regen. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I got it all mixed up. I'm not going to cut this out. I'm just going to explain. Is sprinting true? We want to stop the stamina depletion. I'm sorry I got that mixed up. Because when you're running and the stamina is depleting and you jump, you want it to stop depleting until you land again, which we'll add in a second. And if you're not, if it's regenerating, then and you jump, we want it to stop regenerating. Or you can leave that part out. So this one should be stamina regeneration. This one will be stamina depletion. Let's compile and save that. Let's go to the on landed. First we want to ask, I realized this was kind of a sloppy way to do it. We want to ask if they're even gliding at first. Is gliding. And if they are, then you want to stop gliding. Because if it's just a regular jump and it calls stop gliding, that can cause bugs because we weren't even gliding in the first place. So if gliding is true, then stop gliding. If it's false, then we got to address the stamina to get it restarted again. So basically we just have to do the exact opposite. So we once again call, you know, are they sprinting? And if it's true, then we can unpause the timer by function name of stamina depletion, so that, you know, if you land and you're still sprinting, it starts to deplete again. And false, unpause timer by function name, stamina regeneration, so it continues to regenerate when you land. And then we got to get a self in here. Okay. Alrighty. So that fixes our stamina problem. So we start sprinting, we jump, it stops, we land, it continues to go. And then I also have it set to, you know, if you're walking, you jump, it stops regenerating when you jump. So now you know how to do both if you want to include both. So we want to go into our enum walking, and we just want to set all the parameters for when you're in your walking state. So we want to set is sprinting to false, is gliding is false. And we are actually going to go to our macro real quick. We are going to change the names for these, the paragliding settings, because the stop gliding settings is basically just setting everything back to normal. So stop gliding settings is going to be renamed to set default gravity settings, or whatever. I think that might be redundant, but it's fine. Just so we're clear that this is setting your glide settings, because it's changing the gravity and launching your character, while this one is just putting everything back to normal. So we want to set gravity, default gravity settings. We want to, set to walk speed. And the last thing we have to do is set the regeneration to, regenerate. And I realize how often we're doing that, so we're going to actually put them in another macro, and that will make that just tons easier. So the macro will be called set regeneration stamina. Did I spell that right? Regeneration? Yeah. Set. Oh, you know what? I should probably just duplicate these, so let me just delete that. Regeneration stamina input will need a execute node. Execute. You're looking execute today. Okay, I'll stop. Another execute. Then. Okay. And we just have to, when we're regenerating, we want to clear the depletion function just to be safe. And then just set the, yeah, so let's clear stamina depletion. Right, yes. And then set timer. And then this one will be set stamina regeneration. These could easily be variables, and then we wouldn't have to worry about spelling so often, but since we're replacing it with just the macros, it's fine for me. So the time, we have our stamina depletion rate, and it is looping. And just put that into the output. There we go. Now we can just duplicate this, set depletion stamina, and clear timer. We're clearing the stamina regeneration, and we're starting, oh my goodness, starting stamina depletion. There we go. Compile and save. So we're going to replace all the times we call these into where you know what I'm trying to say. We're going to replace all the times we put that down with the macro. So since everything will be replaced by these enum functions, we have to create a switch for them. So we're going to make a custom event. This is called switch movement modes. We need a switch on link movement modes, which is the enumeration we made. We can see our 4 nodes right here, and we actually have to make that a variable. So enum movement modes. We should put reference in there. Ref, sure. Then in the type, we can just search link movement modes. That is our type. Compile and save. Default will be walking, which is our normal, and just plug it in right there. And when we switch, we want to call these functions we're making. So, you know, when we switch to walking, we want to call enum walking, which, you know, sprinting is false, gliding is false. We set default gravity settings, we set to walk, and we set regeneration stamina. There we go. We're going to do that for all of them. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Let's put this. I need to be organized. I can't not be organized. Put that in enum functions, even though it's not a function. It's whatever. I don't care at this point. Just kidding. Duplicate this. Enum. No, let's do it in order. Exhausted. Is sprinting? No. Is gliding? No. Set default gravity settings? Yes. Set to walk? No, because we are setting to sprint. No, not set to exhaust. I don't know why I chose sprint for a second. And then set regeneration stamina. And we have this already set up to know when it should turn red. And I don't know if we made it regenerate slower, but it turns red and does all that. So we're already all set up for that. Put these 2 macros in. Not sprint. I'm just going to make a new one called movement. Put that in there. There we go. Okay, let's duplicate our exhausted. Enum sprint. Is sprinting is yes. Is gliding is no. Default gravity settings. Don't want to set to exhaust. We want to set to sprint. Set to sprint. And not set regeneration. We want to set depletion. Perfect. Duplicate sprint. Enum gliding. Is sprinting no. Is gliding yes. Default gravity settings no. We want set glide settings. Just get rid of that. set depletion stamina, and then we also, on this one, want to set can sprint to false, because I noticed that just caused some problems. So yeah, just for safety. Alright, let's go into the event graph, and let's plug all these in. So we have our exhausted, our sprint, and our gliding. Exhausted to exhausted, sprint to sprint, gliding to gliding, and here we go. Now it's a lot cleaner. Now we have to set it up so these are actually called instead of kind of the mess we have at the moment. So we want to go into our, where are we? I'm gonna comment this. Press C to comment. Movement modes. Oop. There we go. Just put that in the corner there. I like things organized. Okay, so in our sprint function, do this first. We want to get rid of these timers, and we want, after is sprinting. We can get rid of our set to sprint too, because that's in our enum function. So is sprinting, we want to get the enum movement mode set, and we want to set the movement mode to sprinting. And then we also have to call our custom event so it actually does all the changes. So we'll just search for, what do we call it? Movement mode, switch movement modes. That's what it is. Alright, we can just copy these. We're going to be using them later. We go back to your event graph, stamina regeneration event. We want to get rid of the timers. Get rid of the timers, get rid of the timers. We want to ask, are they exhausted? Get rid of that. And if it's true, then we want to set, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, but easier to just drag this in. We want to set the movement mode to exhausted. If false, set the movement mode to walking. And then we want to call the switch movement modes. Keep forgetting what I called it. Okay, plug both those in. Alright, now we gotta handle gliding. How did that happen? Okay, so we want to go into glide, or function glide right here. After figure out all the things, is gliding. No, we want to, okay, so we still want to spawn that. That's not in the thing, so we can get rid of set glide settings. Spawn. And then, yeah, so we want to keep all this, obviously, and then after, or, you know what, yeah, these should be after. I mean, it's not too important, but I feel better if it's after. So, we go on to get it is gliding as well, because that's already in there. So, once again, we just set the movement mode to gliding. The switch movement modes. Right, and then we still want to spawn our actor. Okay. And I believe the last one, we want to go into stop gliding. We can get rid of this and that. We still need to destroy the actor, but we basically just have to stop gliding. We just need to set the enum movement mode back to walking. Yep. Call the event again, switch movement modes, and then we want to destroy our actor, glider actor. Alrighty. I think that puts everything in ship shape. We can give it a test. I'm just going to create another one of these. Scale it. I don't need it tall anymore, but I kind of want to flat and wide because I want to test some sprinting and some jumping. Take our little guy, our Link that doesn't look like Link. Okay, so now walking's normal. You sprint, you jump, it stops. It's regenerating. You jump, it stops. It's perfect. You sprint until you're exhausted. Perfect. You still can't sprint anymore. Jumping stops it. Perfect. Now for the real thing, we start gliding. Stop gliding, it regenerates. Start gliding, stop. And you might want to change how fast and slow the gliding one is, because I know it goes a lot slower when you're gliding. And to do that, we can just go into our third-person character. you just make a new variable called, we're going to duplicate stamina depletion amount. Stamina depletion amount gliding, that's what we'll call it. We can put that in the paragliding thing. Then we want to go into our, where is it? Stamina depletion. Right. And basically right here where it subtracts the stamina depletion amount, I'm going to pull that to the side. We're going to make a select node. The index is gliding. And if it's false, then we just want the regular. But if it's true, then we want the new stamina depletion amount for gliding, which we are going to make, let's see, 0.25. Let's try that, a quarter of the amount. So, we press play, we go in, we sprint a normal amount, we glide, and it's much slower. Okay, one thing I left out that I forgot, I noticed that when, we have the stamina bar turned off, when we sprint, it comes back on, and when it fills the top, it turns off again. When you sprint and go off, then it's all fine, but if you walk and you jump, it does not appear. And this is an easy fix, and this actually goes exactly with what we were doing. If you go to your sprint function, after there, I think it says set visibility, we just want to copy this, and we can delete it. Go into our enum sprint. After all that, paste it, right? And we also want to paste it for gliding. And then in the exhausted, we want to keep it blank, and in the walking, keep it blank. But we have to go into our set regeneration stamina. Oh no, I'm sorry. Stamina depletion, right? And we have our normal thing, and instead of all this, we want to have it just a basic, another movement mode, and then switch movement modes, and all this can be gone. I'm just gonna move it to the side for now. And then in our stamina regeneration, we want to do a similar thing, but this one's slightly different. We want to get rid of the set to walk. We still want to keep the can sprint set to true, is exhaust set to false, just for safety measures. Then we want to make sure the visibility is set back to hidden, because this is when we reach our max stamina. We want it to hide again, but we can get rid of the clear timer, and then move this to the side. And then after this, we want to set modes ref to walking, and once again switch movement modes. And in our stamina depletion, we want to set this to exhausted. And one thing I forgot about the exhausted is we want to set in a can sprint, and we want it to be false. And also, we need to go into these macros, set to sprint. Oh, forgot to delete them. But basically, when you set to the sprint, you want to set is sprinting to true. And I probably forgot to delete the other one as well, but in set to exhaust, I did. You want to set is exhausted to true. So just take out that, set is exhausted to true. Okay. Compile and save. Let's go into our stamina regeneration. And one more thing that we gotta add in is in our stamina regeneration, true does all that. We just have to ask real quick if is exhausted, and if that's false, we want to set can sprint to true, just for safety. If they are, we can set it to false. So let's give it a test. We sprint normally, go to exhausted, can't sprint anymore, we jump, it stops. Okay, it fills all the way up, it disappears, we can sprint again, you jump, it stops. Regeneration jumps, it stops. If it's empty and you jump off, you start paragliding, it appears. You land and you can still sprint, which is great because that was a couple of people were having that problem. You land and you can still sprint. Perfect. Alright, now everything is just a lot more clean. I know this one might have been kind of confusing. It was for me when I was figuring it out, but now how we have it set up, if we ever need to switch between movement modes or add a new one, we literally just have to, you know, open up that enumeration, add it in, create our function for it, and that's it. Now we just are able to switch between our enum functions, and it's going to make everything a lot easier, especially when we add in climbing and stuff like that. And by the way, if you want to support the channel, please go check out my Patreon. The link is in the description. All my patrons get the videos 2 days early, plus other benefits depending on how much you donate. In my opinion, I think it's a good investment. I'm also really trying to get a monitor that doesn't suck, which I mention pretty much every video. Also, if you want updates on when the next videos are coming out or anything like that, you can also check out my Twitter. The link's also in the description, and I'll answer your questions, etc., etc. If you have more direct questions, or a lot of them, you can join my Discord through my Patreon. So I highly advise you go check that out. And last, and probably also least, you can also check out my Twitch. I know that's kind of completely unrelated to this channel, but I thought I'd start it up. Having a lot of fun with that. Link for that will also be in the description. It's just kind of more fun, me playing video games. If you enjoy listening to me, which I'm surprised people are. After all that, we're starting runes. I'm so excited for runes. It's probably been the thing I've been most excited for since I decided I wanted to start the series. It's going to be so fun. Magnesis, Cryonis, Stasis, and then the bombs as well. So get ready for that. That's coming next. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you next time.